BosSIS.
I'm Danny.
And I'm Tiff.
And this is
BosSIS.
Where ambition meets sisterhood.
And we talk about the highs, the lows, and everything in between where female entrepreneurship is concerned. Today, we're going to discuss the topic, Lego your ego. And what do I mean?
Love it.
When I say Lego your ego, what I'm referring to specifically is how we as business owners often bring our egos into our business. And how we also try to lead with our egos. And it never works.
Right. Never works.
Never works.
Yes. Welcome, ladies. It's so nice to have you.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Thank you for having us. Yes. So I always find that I have to check my ego. And I will definitely say earlier on in my leadership journey, specifically people who you may have seen potential in, or you may see that they have some growth, but they're missing that one piece.
Right.
And I found at first, it's like you may be a little bit timid about giving them too much. And you may find that you don't want to necessarily put all of your eggs into that one basket. But I feel like the Lego your ego for me is really extending my limbs and seeing the I guess the purpose in really building someone as a leader who may not even lead with you forever, who may not be here forever, and being able to put those deposits and being able to see the benefit of building and giving into someone that you may actually see succeed beyond you. And it's kind of hard to let that go.
Sure.
Where it's like, you might actually be so good that you could potentially even be a stronger leader than I am. What do I do with that? And that is so important, not to, despise those small beginnings, and being able to really see how talented you are just by being able to build and to pour into somebody else. So I think for me, it's really being able to extend my limbs.
I like what you said, just in terms of, I think that as a leader, letting go of your ego will often look like you understanding that your team or your employees are not your competition.
Yes.
I think that sometimes when you do see people come in who are highly talented or have all of this, understanding that, hey, they're here because you do have something to give them.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter how great their talent is, they're still not your competition.
Wow.
I've seen it in instances where I've had a leader come in and be amazing, like had qualities that went far and beyond. People come from everywhere to see this person, and he viewed his employees as if they were his competition.
Wow.
So rather than recreating himself and all of those amazing attributes that he had, he kept it all to himself and decided that he wanted to shine in competition with,
How did that affect the morale, though? That's my question.
It's horrible. It's horrible. I think because when you are a really, really talented person and you're used to all of that praise, it's very, very important to understand that once you take on a business and you bring in other people, even though so many people are coming in here for you and coming in here because of your personality, if you have other people working for you, if you don't share... If you don't share that, then you're letting down your customers, because you can't do everybody.
Yeah.
You can't.
And then when you're not there, what happens? It drops. Right.
So I think that letting share, as Kania was saying about extending yourself, extending your limbs, is recreating yourself in other people, understanding that the gifts and things that I have, I'm no longer in this by myself.
Somebody else has to share this with me.
You got to share it with them so that you can actually grow.
And that makes you a great leader.
Absolutely.
Love that.
And then you get people to buy into the vision.
Right.
And when you share it with them, when you show them how their involvement, how that connection, along with your own, actually benefits both parties.
Right.
That's where we go wrong oftentimes as leaders, where we're thinking about this person just working for us, but it's actually working with us.
Yeah.
I think it was Hearts that said that, thinking about it from a team instead of one of my employees or somebody on my staff, and buying into that team aspect and getting other people to see that, it creates a level of trust where I can actually give you my 110%. But oftentimes we expect people to give us that just because we're giving them a paycheck. Give me your 100, but yet I'm
it takes way more than that.
Information, keeping you from being able to be your best self. And why would I trust a leader like that? You're not all the way vested in me, so why would I be all the way vested in your business? And so, a great point.
Trust is so important. I'm glad you said, because you want them to trust you, right? And then you can trust them with your vision,
Right.
and they'll bring it to life. I love that.
I know you see that a lot on the HR side, right, Niche?
Yeah, I was getting ready to say, I think one of the other things that, especially in a panel such as this, we're all women, right?
Yes.
So when you think of let go my ego, I see a lot when it comes to women in leadership. Women in leadership, you already have two things against you, especially if you're a black woman, right? You're
Three.
a black woman and you're a woman. And so sometimes it's hard, or I've seen in my experience where there's women in leadership where the perception is like, oh, like she's abrasive, she's aggressive, she's, whenever she speaks to me, she's aggressive, or, she's an angry black woman, or this is what she's giving off. And sometimes I've had situations working in my industry sometimes it is true, right? And then other times it's the perception. So I think also when you look at the ego, we can say, is it really ego? Is it that person's perception of what they perceive you to be?
Right.
That makes sense.
Right.
No, it does.
I think that goes hand in hand with what she was saying about people just trusting your intent.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Sometimes it's really important that they understand your intent, they trust your intent, and that way there's no misconception for how you're leading and why you're doing the things that you're doing.
Right.
Which brings back to the checking my ego, because that's one of the things that what you just said about if I'm conveying a message, if I want you to believe it and you're still not believing that my intentions are for you, that's a miss on me. And you got to be reflective as a leader to always come back to the drawing board of, is there anything that I can do differently to make sure that this plan is effective and for us to really be the team that I'm saying that we are. And I'll be honest, in my current position, it's a challenge. Because it's like, I know that I'm telling you, I'm ride or die. That's the type of leader that I am. I will do anything for my team. Stand up for you. Go to bat for you. To have to, try to convince you of that. Sometimes it can be overwhelming. But one thing I had to do, and Tiffany knows, I will always come back to it. It's like, okay, she still didn't get it. She still doesn't believe me. Kania, what else? Because when we get to the end of that road, that's when we might have to really part ways. So if I give up, if I have to terminate this position, or if I have to move you off the team, or if I have to do, then that have I exhausted all of the resources that I can truly give.
Yep.
And if I can't do that, that's not just a mark on you. That's a mark on me.
Yeah.
And so bringing it back to checking the ego, I hear leaders talk about, my team member has this issue, my team member has that issue. And I'll hear them, and they think that I'm only looking at the person they're talking about, but they don't understand that actually I'm
looking at you.
I'm looking at you.
Yes.
You're telling me you know exactly what this person needs. You know exactly.
Wow.
But you're
what it would
refusing to
take
give it to them.
For them to give you back what you need, and yet you're withholding it. How disappointing is that? Because a wise woman does not tear down their own house.
Absolutely.
So for you to think that we can continue to grow and build when you're not giving them what is needed, it's very unfortunate. So I love this space because we get to keep talking about the things that people don't know have been shooting their own businesses in the foot.
Right.
The things that you've been tearing down your own house because you're only saying the defamation or things that kind of tear people down instead of building because it's your house.
I know that in my experience, I build people every single day. I work with a group of people, even right now, that did not believe in their inabilities to do their job effectively. Right? So I'm challenged every single day with showing them that you are. And the reason or the way that I do it is I'm a leader that I can show you better than I can tell you. That's the type of leader I am. I'm a very hands-on leader. I'm going to make sure that I'm getting in there with you. I'm going to make sure that I'm redirecting you when you feel like you're not able to. So it really does work, and that really has helped build the trust. I've seen significant growth and confidence just because I'm there with you, and I'm there and I'm in it with you, and they trust that process. So I definitely agree with what you're saying.
I think that's a big, that's big to what you said, because, again, me working in the HR field, and one of the things that we see, to your point, is that you're in it with them.
Yes.
When we talk about ego, it goes both ways. So one of the things when I'm coaching or I'm talking to a leader and they're having issues with their team members or there's something that's going on, I'm like, you have to think outside the box, right? Everyone learns differently. So how you expect for somebody to get it, learn, be coached, that's not it, right? You can't put everybody into the same box. You have to say, okay, all right, I know that Tanisha is a visual learner.
Yes.
So let me break it down to her so that she sees how it should be versus someone else that I can just verbally give you an example and you're able to take it and move on.
Yeah.
That's an ego trip in my mind because I have leaders right now that I'm coaching is like, it's my way or the highway.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? You're going to have a lot of people that's going to leave your business. They're going to leave whatever it is that your dream.
Right on that highway.
Yeah, on that highway. They're going to leave it there because you want it your way, and it doesn't always go like that. So if that's how you believe and that's how you dream, then no. But to your point, you're like, I'm in it with them. I'm going to show you better than I can tell you. I'm going to give you these examples. And then you're going to look at each person and say, okay, this person didn't get it when I showed them this way. So maybe I gotta
let me figure out a different way.
Exactly.
I think it's also too, especially when you're talking about you mentioned like the angry black woman thing. You know,
man,
one of the biggest things about letting go of your ego is understanding other people's view and perception of you.
I am
know,
so thankful you said
most
that. Yes,
difficult thing to understand, and not to kind of fall into those crutches of, oh, they just think I'm an angry black woman. Well, let's figure out what that is. What room are you in? Are you speaking to the people who are in this room? Are you clear about how they perceive you, how they perceive what it is that
and that perception is coming from somewhere.
It is coming
from somewhere. You have to figure out where.
Especially if more than one person has said it.
Yes.
I will admit that I have been pulled. I did not have a very clear view of how people perceive me. And immediately, if I walked into new spaces, it was automatic that I was like intense. I think that people thought I was intense, intimidating, passionate. You know, all of those things, and they all got perceived as negative things. Where we know that passion and being intense is not something negative. Right. But I didn't understand that. How people saw me when I came in a room. I didn't have to shrink. I didn't have to take away from me. But that understanding made me change my approach. And I walk in a room differently now.
How did you change it?
Well, I think that I'm naturally bossy.
Right.
I'm naturally
I'm
naturally bossy, and coming from it, we all come from like performing arts.
Yes.
That is you lead with that, and we have there's no apologies about that.
Indeed.
And in that room, and it's acceptable. But when you go into other rooms, they're not looking for you to come in as
right, and they're often intimidated.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I started coming in a room like I didn't know everything. I may end up taking over everything, right?
Right.
But I'm gonna come in like I know nothing.
Right.
And it's not even to be manipulative or deceptive.
Yes.
But it is. I don't know this room yet.
Right.
I don't know you yet. I don't know these things. And because I don't, it's best for me to, let me take a seat back. Let me understand how you move. Let me understand what motivates you.
Yes.
Read the room a little bit.
Like you were saying, just in terms of how you change things, what motivates you?
Yes.
I know that this person is motivated by this and this person is motivated by this. So my approach is not going to be the same with both.
Right.
How can I learn that if I don't sit back a little bit and just change? So that helped me a lot. Letting go of your ego is not being offended by other people's perception of you.
Yes.
And really using it to your
advantage for you to develop yourself as well.
Right. I call them mirror moments.
Mirror moments. I like that.
Self-reflection.
Self-reflection.
I'm looking in the mirror.
Yes.
I'm not going to even try to figure out what you need to fix just now. That's when I focus on me and get this together, and I keep on working on ways to communicate with you, I see the change. If I just put the focus on me first, because a lot of times the gaps are with the clear communication. I love the fact, because you were saying this the other day, with you even giving your the people on your team, some of the ones who have lesser amount of experience, and maybe some of the ones who haven't had as much time, but you gave them a space to take on new tasks. Like I see you give them like something as simple as opening up the center or being able to take responsibility for this, and that creates a whole nother level.
What
of
it does is it builds confidence.
Yes,
it builds confidence.
So that was you letting go of something that you knew you probably could have done better.
Indeed,
in some cases, but being willing to say, you know what, I'm going to give this to you. Because even though I know you probably not going to do it as well as I am,
I have to give it to you.
Giving this to you will take you. You then take that and run with it,
right?
Because you're trying to really, really. They trust that you are giving them a chance.
That is totally correct. And when confidence is out of the way, you as a leader have done your job. Because now they're okay with making decisions. They're okay with being wrong. They're okay with, stepping out and trying something they haven't tried before, even if if they make a mistake. So yeah, I definitely agree with that. But guys, listen, I'm going to shift the focus a little bit. So we've talked a little bit about leadership within our business and how it applies to our employees and how our ego can affect how we lead our employees. But what if it's a business that doesn't have employees? How can ego affect that?
It'll affect your opportunities.
Absolutely.
It'll absolutely affect your opportunities. I think that I used to work with another young lady, and she actually taught me this. I remember being let me say this. When I first started working with her, I had the North Philly chip on my shoulder.
Girl.
I was very much a person that you just didn't want to cross. You're going to talk to me the way I want to be spoken to. You're going to do all of these things. And being in the service industry, doing hair, makeup, and all of these things that you have to be on set, you're working with actors, actresses, and things like this. And I remember her telling stories about how she had done like Fashion Week or something like that. And she said that she came in there and, it was her first time there. She really didn't know what she was doing. So she starts working. The lady came and ripped all of her stuff up, told her it was wrong. And she's telling this story, like laughing, like this lady told me all. She did this, she did that, she did. And I'm sitting here like, I would have cussed her out. Are you kidding me? Who does she think she is? Why was she? But she was new coming into a space where people had done things for years. You don't have that much time. Her ego would have destroyed her in that moment.
Wow.
And so I remember being on set later. And I forget what happened. I didn't understand something that one of the actors or actresses were saying. And so my response to them was like really rude. Like, wait a minute, I didn't understand. Like, you could have just said such and such and such.
Right.
So, and I carried an attitude throughout that whole time. And I realized I was not asked back. Let me just say that. Nobody asked me to come to the next set or anything like that because I carried that thing. And in that moment, I learned the difference between the choice that she made and then the choice that I made.
Wow.
And of course, you can always get more opportunities later, but the quicker you learn that, now I laugh about it. You come in, you rude. Old women getting smart, being rude. I can turn them around in a minute.
Right.
Because now it's not my ego. What does it take from me? It does not take anything from me to fall back in this moment, understand what this person is what this person is needing, and then provide that.
Wow.
It doesn't take anything
from you. That's self-reflection. That's self-reflection.
I love it.
It's key.
That's awesome.
I heard you mention it to one of the other guests about just taking your weaknesses and maybe outsourcing that. So think about the things that you may not do so great, but can I get some networking going on?
Or knowing the things that you think you do great.
Wow.
And not being afraid to ask for help.
But when you think you do something great and recognize and look at the feedback, I don't do that great.
Right.
Ego. I'm not real good at that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And then it's like people like you say that say, they get so hype over, I did this, I did that. It shows. It shows that you did not bring in a different point of view. Or accept somebody else to be a part of it. It shows. Because I can tell. You made that shirt? Yes. I can see it. I can see the pride.
That looks good, baby. Yeah, good job.
Like, no.
Consultation.
You need a network. You need a BosSIS. You need a BosSIS.
For sure.
Have the vision. You could already know what you want, but that doesn't mean you don't still need to do the work and still need to do the training or maybe take a course or two to get better at these.
Right. And it may be stretching yourself too thin. That's one of the things that I've seen you do a lot, Tiff.
Thank you.
It's understanding where your strengths are
and
hiring people who don't, because why? Why am I going to go and learn how to do that?
I don't have time.
Who has time?
Yes, maximizing time.
You can be an expert in what you do.
Right.
Talk about it.
That's absolutely true. I think that is something that I've learned that along the way because it wasn't always like that. Before, I was trying to be everything, and it didn't work out for me. You know what I mean? I had people saying, hey, I didn't get that back on time, or I'm still waiting for this. I don't like that. You know what I mean? So I realized that I had to take me out of it and I have to give this to somebody else because I am one person. I'm not a superwoman. I'm not a superhero. I can't do it all. And nobody is giving me a medal for doing it all. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. So why? Why should I stress myself? Why should I continue to put more pressure on myself that is totally unrealistic. I have to pass this off to somebody that is stronger in it. And it ultimately makes me look stronger because I was able to make that decision.
Yes.
So, yeah.
That's the office plate.
That's right.
Absolutely.
That'll preach.
All right, guys. So let's take a second and talk about branding and ego. So one of the things that I'm seeing is everybody's face is plastered all over their page, and they're not relying on the service that they provided or their customers to tell the story. How do you guys think that affects business?
I think it hurts.
Yeah.
I think that, for one, my first thought is if all I'm seeing is you, that means you've only convinced yourself. that
Yes.
you're great. Whereas if I start to see
Jeez.
that other people buy into
That
your
hurt.
brand,
Wow.
Right.
That
No,
was
but it's the
excellent,
truth.
actually. But it is the truth.
It's the
Who else
truth.
believes you're
That's-
great?
that's
when you bring other
Self-reflection.
people in, that means you've had them to buy into your brand.
Yes.
Now I'm looking like, okay. And don't be afraid to open that up. It doesn't mean that we still don't know it's about you, sis.
Yes.
We still know it's yours. But when you show me, and you can take somebody, I'll take a makeup artist. Because if a makeup artist is only showing me that they're making up their own faces, how do I know what you do with hers? How do
Right.
you know what you do when you're in this position?
Yes.
So I feel like opening up, again, extending those limbs is you being able to show that there's more dimensions than just the one that we're seeing.
Indeed.
I think that it's understanding what your story is.
That's what yeah.
That's when you can determine does my face belong here, or is it my service, or is it my product?
Yes.
And once you understand what your story is, your story has to connect with your consumer.
And it has to be consistent, too.
It has to be, and it has to be consistent.
It has to be consistent.
So I think that there are instances where people's faces are necessary.
Indeed.
And then I think that it's the other thing where we're saying that this person is just so overindulged with themselves that they feel like they need to be everywhere and they've lost sight of the story.
What are
They've
some
lost sight of
opportunities?
it.
What are some industries that you think it's necessary?
It depends on, like, she mentioned a makeup artist, right?
Yes.
But in the industry of makeup, there are all different aspects of it. So there are people who are just making money on doing their own face. They're not interested in doing. They're not the kind of makeup artist that you're going to hire for your wedding.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So
They're
in
trying
that
products.
instance,
Store,
people who look like them or people who like the type of things that they're doing, they're going to buy into that. So it makes it necessary.
Yes.
However, if I am consistently, if I am a makeup artist who wants to do wedding makeup, and I keep putting a veil on my face and doing my own makeup, then that's not going to be effective.
Right.
That's not going to be effective, right?
Yes,
I'm going to want to see that you
That's
can
true.
do other people's makeup, and then I'm going to want to see what kind of other people's makeup are you doing.
Yes.
Right.
So it's just understanding when it's effective and when it's ineffective,
Right.
and that's letting go of your ego, because there are times when nobody wants to see your face, and being honest with yourself enough to say that this is not helping my business.
It's
this
hurting
is actually
it.
hurting my business.
Yes.
I love
Very
that.
good. Very valid.
There are a lot of people that need to have these conversations with themselves and sit down even and talk with friends and people who are consumers to see what exactly it is they want to see. I think that's the best way to decide too. One of the best ways to decide.
And use your circle.
Use your circle,
Just
yes.
Don't let your ego get in the way of you're in this on your own. Use your circle because they can help you. Real friends is going to tell you the truth.
Yes.
So sometimes you might have to just step out and hire someone.
Hire a
Indeed.
professional.
Utilize that. Go
Yep.
networking. Go to these events. See what it
Yep.
is that you to your points earlier. Where's your weakness, right? And go out and source that weakness.
Yep.
To be able to build your brand.
Indeed.
And ego is learning how to accept criticism
Very
and
true.
realize that this is not somebody trying to tear your dream down all the time. They're not trying to hold you back. They're not trying to keep you in the box. Even
Right.
if you don't take the advice, being offended by it or feeling like somebody is being overly critical, criticism can only grow you
Yes.
if
Right.
you take it correctly.
Yes.
You know, so that's a huge part of letting go of your ego, because if you are constantly being offended and
Yes.
pushing everybody away, they don't know what they're talking about, then you become the person with your face all over the page and nobody's buying your stuff.
I agree totally.
That brings me back to the mirror moments and how important it is for us to really be able to take the criticism, even when it comes to reviews, because I know you guys were talking about that earlier,
Right.
because a lot of times we want to see the good reviews.
Yeah.
We don't want to see the bad reviews, but we learn from our mistakes.
Yes.
We learn from the feedback that isn't so easy to hear. So the biggest thing with letting go of your ego is you realizing that other people's perception needs to be a part of mine.
Right.
Not because I'm going to change, but because now I'm aware and I know what
The
my
awareness,
audience
yeah.
is expecting of me. So
Right.
let that
Absolutely.
ego go. Take that mirror moment. Figure out
Daily.
what they're saying. And if I want to use it, that's great. But if I don't, I at least am aware so I can even be more confident in who I am.
So to bring it home, guys, you got to let go of your ego in business.
Let it
Letting
go.
go of your ego is going to help your business grow. It's going to help it thrive. You're going to be able to really take accountability for the things that need to change by examining exactly what the people around you are thinking. And don't forget to stay BosSIS. Go, Danny. Go.
Let it go.
No, and don't forget to say...
Let it go. Let it go.